Thank you. I just want to add, as Dick said, I mean, what we're talking about here in terms of the Ryan Republican 2012 budget proposal, which was voted on in the House on April 15th. Unfortunately, it passed on a straight party line vote. What we're talking about here is not about deficit reduction. The fact of the matter is the president has put out a plan to match, if not exceed, the deficit reduction which the Ryan plan called for. The House Democratic version, Chris Van Hollen proposed, same thing. It exceeded the Ryan plan in terms of getting the public finances of this country back in balance. What we're talking about here really is a fundamental question about our country and the way we're going to treat people over the age of 65. If you go back in time to 1965 when Medicare was first passed, signed by Lyndon Johnson in Independence, Missouri on the front porch of Harry Truman's home, only half of America's seniors could get health insurance because of either cost or because of the high risk that the insurance market realized was inevitable with people over the age of 65. It was a totally broken system for over half the seniors of this country. And what Medicare fundamentally was about at that point was creating a guaranteed benefit which would expand and contract based on the needs of people with a financing mechanism which over time we have to revisit and make sure is strong and adequate to deal with increases in demographics and changing medical technology. And what the Ryan plan is proposing to do is basically go back in time to 1965, give seniors an $8,000 voucher and say good luck in terms of going out and buying insurance on the market. The Congressional Budget Office has already calculated today what that would mean in terms of an individual under that new system. The cost of insurance roughly at that point would be $22,000, and that's just an average. And I try and visualize it in very personal terms, and I think every single person in this room can do the same thing. My dad, who was a lifelong Republican, struggled with congestive heart condition in his final years back in the late 1990s. And he was readmitted to L&M Hospital, who Sharon works with the great nurses and staff down in that facility numerous times. And that's just comes with the territory. It's a very unstable condition, requires a lot of treatment. And the thought of him having to go out and buy a health insurance plan when he was 82 years old with that type of condition, I mean, there was just no way that would have ever possibly worked. And I remember sitting with him at the kitchen table, because I was his power of attorney. We were dealing with all the bills and expenses and looking at all the, this is not a bill forms that the hospital was sending out. And he was just looking at the mountain of papers and costs that were there. And he said, thank God for Medicare. And so when I think about this issue in terms of the vote that we're going to be taking and the battle that we have ahead of us, I am going to make totally sure that not only myself, but my kids and my grandkids are going to be in the same position where they are not going to be worried about whether or not they're bankrupting their family because they are getting what is essential care for a condition that none of us have any control over really eliminating. I mean, it's just part of being a human being is that as you get on in years, you're going to need some more assistance over time. And the Ryan budget, the Ryan Republican budget breaks that commitment when you boil it down to its essence. And that is just unacceptable for a great nation like ours. As Dick said, there are smart ways that we can moderate the growth in Medicare spending. The Affordable Health Care Act, in fact, did that. If you look at what the CBO scored, we were looking at 9% growth before President Obama signed that bill into law in March of 2010. We're now looking at 6% growth. And it's because of smart, intelligent changes, like Dick said, in terms of reforming the delivery system. Hospitals all across Connecticut are engaged in terms of trying to adapt to this new set of incentives. I was at Wyndham Hospital the other day, and they're talking about setting up an accountable care organization, which is, the new model under Medicare. That's the way we deal with the fiscal challenges of the Medicare program in the future. We don't do it by just shifting the cost onto patients and families who no way on earth could ever afford that type of burden. And we're better people than that. And I'm delighted about the fact that we had a delegation in the House that was 100% united in terms of voting against that type of proposal. We're counting on Dick and his colleagues in the Senate to just stop it dead in its tracks. And then we can move on as a nation to deal with a real solution that makes sure not only baby boomer generations, but their kids and their grandkids are going to have that basic guaranteed structure to make sure that they get the decent, affordable care that we all as Americans can provide and deserve. Thank you very much.